Welcome to UC Today. My name's David Dungay. I am here reporting live from GITEX. I'm with Avaya CEO Alan Masarek. How are you doing, Alan?
I'm doing well, David. Great to see you again.
Fantastic. It's always great to be here in Dubai, but with Avaya also.
Well, I appreciate that. That's great.
So let's talk about the region first of all, Alan.
Okay.
You know, it's an important region for Avaya especially. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and what's important to you. You're here meeting customers and partners and things. What's important to you and Avaya in the Middle East?
Well, the Middle East is a very large market for us. Our international headquarters is here in Dubai, and so we have in this office alone, well over 100 people. But we've got people throughout the region, and we do lots of business, not just with commercial enterprises, but governments and governmental agencies throughout the region. So it's a very, very important part of the world for us, and we're doubling down on it to do ever more.
Great, so you're fresh off your financial year that's just closed. I was kind of waiting to see some insights from that financial year. What can you share with us about how that year's gone from a trading perspective, and also how did that meet your expectations when you came into the role just over a year ago?
So we've actually, of course, I've been here now 14 months. We've actually reached, I think, a pretty amazing result in terms of both the financial restructuring as well as the business restructuring. The financial restructuring, we did this enormous delevering of the company. At the same time, we recapitalized. Concurrent with that was the business restructuring, resetting the product strategy, the related go-to-market, aligning the organization in support of that. Many of the things that you see here are around thematically innovation without disruption, the things that we created a year ago. The whole revitalization of the Avaya brand around choose your journey, you see demonstrated here. Because what's unique now is we have such an enormous base of customers, and within those, some of the largest, most complex deployments in the world. These people, these customers, whether they're enterprises or governmental agencies, they're on a modernization track. They're moving towards typically more and more cloud solutions, but they're not doing it monolithically. It has to be very personalized to them. So the whole notion of choose your journey is we're the vendor to support you in whatever that journey is. It could be jumping directly to the cloud, going very slowly, or going not at all.
I do want to pick up on the that choose your journey message in a moment, but before we do, part of your mandate coming in was to bring some fresh blood into the board level of the business. You've done that around about 4 months ago now. I think Avaya Engage was when you announced those key hires for you. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the impact that those people have had and the vision behind bringing these people on board, and what's that really going to drive for Avaya going forwards.
So, key to any transformation is leadership. We have to set the strategy, set the vision, set the goals. We've done that. And then it's bringing the right leadership in order to drive it forward. So we made public announcements around CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Product Officer, Global Head of Sales Operations. There have been additional hires made who will be starting over the next 60 days, which we haven't publicly announced yet. So there's more to come. There's more to come, but as important as those C-level additions are, it's folks that don't typically get press released who are, within those functional areas. And so we've made a great deal of progress in bringing talent in the organization. Remember that thematically, in terms of our objectives, the number one objective is to make Avaya a destination place to work. The idea or the definition of a destination place to work is create a culture that attracts the most talented in the industry. These C-level folks that we brought in, that we have publicly announced, are very, very senior executives globally. That's another affirmation of the opportunity we have. I mean, they're contributing their time, their careers to come here. And the folks that we've not yet publicly released will be the same. So I'm thrilled with the progress that we've made. They themselves are bringing in more people. And also just the fact that the existing people, there's enormous amounts of talent in this company. By setting a very clear, focused strategy, to help people perform at their best. That's happening, and so we have made an extraordinary amount of progress over the last 14 months. More work to do, but all of it's been very, very confidence-inspiring.
Of course, the other side of that coin, if you like, is the investment around the product and the services. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about, you freed up not an insignificant amount of money through the restructure.
Right.
How are you spending that? How are you doubling down in those key areas for Avaya in the portfolio?
Well, so the whole idea of recapitalizing the company was to put us in a position so that we've got adequate resources to invest in our product, and you see so much of it here demoed through in the booth today. Invest in our product, invest in our talent, in our engineering capability, but also invest in our customers. It's very, very important, particularly among this huge base of customers, that we invest in them, because in effect they're investing in us. We want them to stay with us on their journey. And again, whatever that modernization journey is, to the cloud or elsewhere, we want to be their vendor that supports them.
Maybe you could talk to those enterprise customers right now who might be looking for a new vendor, or maybe even a current Avaya customer who might be looking at migrating certain aspects of their portfolio away from Avaya. Why choose Avaya now? What's the message to those enterprise customers?
So we think we have, we're the perfect vendor for our existing customers and also additional new customers. But let's just focus on the base customers. We want them to stay intra-Avaya, stay with us on that journey. And if you think about why they should trust us on that journey, and just think contact center just for one example. So, contact centers are not just voice, but they're now chat and social and digital and all sorts of AI frameworks. But voice is still a critical component of it, and I think it's inarguable that Avaya is the best voice in the world. And so here they have our core voice plumbing that's been bespoke throughout their environment, very mature, battle-tested, very heavily featured. And we're adding now on top of it chat, social, digital, variety of AI utilities, the ability even to move the voice without changing your proprietary call flows. You can move it as a dedicated instance up into public cloud. We happen to use Azure. The point being is you're getting all the innovation without having to force the rip and replace of the disruption. Competitors are coming in and saying, well, implicitly you'd have to rip out all that embedded technology to move to the competitor. It doesn't make any sense. It introduced too much risk, and the larger the customer and the more complex and the more sensitive or regulated the industry, the level of risk is ever greater. So we're saying the whole notion of innovation without disruption is bring in the innovation, chat, social, digital, AI, over the top via the cloud, but don't disrupt underneath. Innovation without disruption.
Maybe you could talk a bit about those new customers, those pending Avaya customers, hopefully. Why should they choose Avaya?
So, the whole journey for customers is you can be prem, or you can go to our solutions in full multi-tenanted cloud, or you can take those baby steps in between. The new customers who are looking for a solution which is, let's say, go back to contact center, which is a full omni solution, you have the Avaya Experience Platform. But coupled with that, you have our proprietary hardware, our proprietary services, our support frameworks, which are accustomed to working with the largest deployments in the world. And you can grow with us beyond just contact center. We marry with it the unified communications, and we're moving ever more quickly into being a full customer experience solution. All too often we think of contact center as just the inbound motion. Well, the reality is customer experience is an outbound and inbound motion, and we handle all that on an omni basis. And so it's a really good opportunity for folks to grow with us. And so as compelling it is to the base, it is also the net new. And by the way, I announced recently that over the course of this very noisy year, because there's a lot going on, as you and I have spoken about, we still added thousands of net new customers, over 1,000 a quarter generally. So, it's a really good story in terms of how quickly we've been able to demonstrate that we're the vendor to take care of the base and also add net new along the way.
That's a very important message, actually. So, Alan, much of your tenure so far has been about setting the foundation, I guess, for future growth for Avaya. Much of that's been done, although you admit yourself there's still more to be done. There always is, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk about, what's the next part of your tenure going to be? What's the vision? What are you hyper focused on moving into the next year?
So when I think about transformations of this magnitude, I always think about this as sort of being I would refer to it as an 8-quarter transformation, and we're more than halfway through that 8 quarters. So as you know, we did all that very substantial financial restructuring, as I said before, resetting product strategy, go-to-market, organizational alignment, revitalizing the culture with the leadership. Now it's about execution. And what's happening, which it gives me a great sense of confidence, is you can see that customers are responding to it, partners are responding to it. And so I think you're going to see very quickly Avaya restore to a net grower, so revenue growth, while delivering good financial results on the bottom line, adding customers as we add greater and greater functionality. So it's interesting, the financial disruption that we had before, obviously that created a great deal of noise, but that is well behind us now. And the fact that Avaya has been such a critical vendor in this market for 25 years, now that we're through that kind of painful trough, I think our best days are absolutely in front of us.
Well, Alan, as always, thank you very much for talking with us. I'm really looking forward to watching this journey, watching the next part of your tenure unfold.
You've been here from the beginning, David, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you again. And thank you for watching me, David Dungay on UC Today.